Welcome to the Deep Dive. You are here today because you've mastered the basics, and you're ready to stop just summarizing your knowledge. You're ready to start wielding the lexicon of intellectual authority.
Yeah, exactly.
And this deep dive is customized for you. We're focusing on achieving C2 level precision by mastering over 20 advanced English terms, all centered on the culture and structures of advanced education.
That is precisely our mission today. I mean, we are moving beyond those general accessible descriptions and diving straight into the really precise scholarly vocabulary.
The kind of language that signals confidence.
Yes, immediate, deep confidence and fluency, especially in academic and professional settings. We've compiled this analysis to extract the most important nuanced meanings and applications, mostly from the US and Canadian systems where a lot of these terms actually come from.
And the reward for committing to this level of vocabulary is, well, it's significant, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
This isn't just about memorizing definitions. It's a strategic linguistic upgrade. When you go from saying, I signed up for school, to declaring you have completed your matriculation.
That's a huge difference.
It instantly conveys expertise and, I guess, an understanding of the institution itself. It's the difference between reading the footnotes and sounding like you wrote the textbook.
It really is. It's that mastery of the subtle distinctions. A C2 level speaker doesn't just know a word. They know the institutional, the cultural, even the political weight that word carries.
Right.
So for instance, when you can correctly identify an alumna delivering a speech and you understand the legacy that entails, or you can discuss how a monograph is linked to a professor's career.
Their tenure track. Yeah.
Exactly. You're using the precise tools of the highest level of English proficiency. You are no longer just communicating an idea, you're performing genuine intellectual work.
That sets the stage perfectly. Okay, let's unpack this wealth of terms. To make this demanding vocabulary manageable, we've organized them thematically.
Good idea.
We'll start right where the North American higher education journey often begins. On campus, focusing on the complex social structures and the administrative authority that really underpins university life.
Sounds good. This first group of 8 terms immediately immerses us in that very specific culture of major North American universities, starting with these highly distinct social groupings.
And we begin with a pair of terms that are nearly synonymous in structure, but totally distinct in gender and tradition: sorority and fraternity. A sorority is a social club for female students, often emphasizing this concept of sisterhood. And a fraternity is its counterpart for male students, a brotherhood.
Right. But what elevates these to the C2 level is understanding their function. They're not just social clubs, they're conduits for what we call cultural capital and professional networking.
I see. So they're almost like micro-societies within the university.
Precisely. They're highly regulated, often secretive, and membership establishes these lifelong bonds and powerful networks that extend way beyond graduation.
And into professional life.
Yes, acting as these informal career accelerants for members who share similar values and, well, a similar background.
That structural reality, the cultural capital, is fascinating.
Yeah.
It means these structures are often decades, sometimes centuries old, and the alumni base basically funnels connections back to the current members.
It does.
But we also see this constant tension, don't we, between this tradition and institutional accountability. Universities have to actively regulate sorority activities to ensure they promote positive community engagement.
And safety, especially around recruitment. That regulatory aspect is central to the university's authority. The institution has to balance the benefits of strong alumni support with, maintaining order.
And the consequences can be very real.
Extremely real. For instance, when a university decides to suspend the fraternity after reports of inappropriate conduct during initiation rituals, that shows the administration holds the ultimate veto power over these groups.
And for anyone looking to use this vocabulary, we have to mention the key verb here, to rush.
Ah, yes, rushing.
The process itself, where new students attempt to rush a sorority during their freshman year, is this intense, structured recruitment period.
And it's not just social. Joining a fraternity often offers members specific leadership opportunities and mandates participation in philanthropic experiences, which integrates them into the university's community service goals.
Okay, so moving from current students to those who've completed their studies.
We pivot to the legacy they leave behind. This introduces the next gendered pair, alumnus and alumna.
Right, the formal terms for former students or graduates. Alumnus for a man and alumna for a woman.
And we often hear the plural alumni used for a mixed group, but C2 precision is knowing when to use the singular. It's a marker of formality.
And the key concept here is the connection back to their alma mater.
That's the crucial point, alma mater. It literally translates from Latin as nurturing mother. It's the term for the school a person attended, and it implies this really strong, almost familial bond.
So how is that bond institutionalized?
Well, in two primary ways. There's the intellectual involvement, like when the alumnus returned to campus to deliver an inspiring keynote speech.
Sharing knowledge.
And inspiring the next generation. But the second, and maybe more powerful way, is financial and relational. Successful alumni and alumni donate generously to support scholarships.
Or they get involved in mentoring undergraduates in his field.
Yeah.
They're like the institutional proof of concept.
They are. And consider the subtle difference in formal recognition. Like, the distinguished alumna was invited back to receive an honorary degree.
So she's being honored for her post-graduation achievements.
Correct. It underscores this enduring high-status relationship. Using alumna instead of a generic term like former student instantly frames the discussion in a formal, high-level academic context.
Okay, so the legacy and financial support from alumni are often managed by senior figures at the university. This leads us right to a pivotal role, the dean. In a university, the dean is the head of a faculty or a department, a crucial academic administrator.
And the C2 value here is understanding the scope of the dean's power. It's far more than a simple department chair. The dean is responsible for shaping the intellectual and financial future of their entire division.
So they're the ultimate authority on how resources are allocated.
In many ways, yes. They're often the ones who grant approval on complex interdisciplinary research proposals. That's a huge structural decision that can set the faculty's direction for a decade.
And it extends beyond just research.
Okay,
right?
absolutely. Their role extends to setting cultural and ethical goals. A dean might prioritize improving diversity and inclusion within the faculty, initiating major hiring and retention strategies. They're the pivot point between senior management and the teaching staff.
A strategic operational manager for academia, that's a great way to put it. And this administrative structure, head by the dean, is tasked with tracking student performance. Which brings us to the metric that dictates so many futures: grade point average, or GPA.
The famous GPA, the numerical indicator of a student's overall academic performance, their cumulative average.
You're right to call it famous. It really acts as the primary system of academic gatekeeping, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. We see that maintaining a high grade point average is crucial for students applying to competitive graduate programs. It's the first non-negotiable metric admissions committees use to filter huge applicant pools.
It tells a quantifiable story.
A standardized story about a student's consistency and effort over time.
But to really get the C2 level use, you need to understand the technical nuances, like weighted versus unweighted GPAs.
Yes. A weighted average considers the difficulty of a course, giving more points for, say, an advanced placement class.
And there's the whole challenge of converting international scores, like from the UK system, into an equivalent GPA.
Knowing those challenges shows true C2 comprehension. And a strong GPA has other applications too. An impressive GPA can earn a student a spot on the dean's list, which is formal recognition of academic excellence.
But it's not the only thing that matters.
No, and that's an important point. Admissions committees are increasingly holistic. They review the GPA alongside extracurricular achievements and personal essays. It's a necessary foundation, but not always sufficient on its own.
That intense focus on maximizing the GPA culminates in one specific, highly symbolic recognition: the valedictorian.
The top graduate or class leader.
The student with the highest academic rank who gets to deliver the farewell speech.
The term valedictorian is just pure symbolism of academic triumph. It represents the pinnacle of competitive achievement for that specific group of students.
The culmination of years of dedicated high-pressure study.
Exactly. The person who achieves this becomes the institutional exemplar of scholastic dedication.
And the duty that comes with it, the farewell speech, elevates the term beyond just a high score.
It does. The speech often reflects on the class's shared challenges and triumphs. It's a final moment of intellectual leadership.
What I find insightful is the message they often deliver.
Right. Despite being the picture of success, the valedictorian frequently encouraged peers to embrace failure as a stepping stone to success.
Which shows the honor isn't just about perfect metrics. It's about providing a mature, constructive perspective as the class moves on.
It's the highest honor for individual achievement, paired with the responsibility of providing that final institutional guidance.
And that entire journey, from day one to this final speech, concludes with commencement.
The formal ceremony marking the completion of an academic program, the graduation ceremony or convocation.
Commencement is the definitive ritual of academic life. Understanding it at a C2 level means knowing the language. It involves formal commencement exercises.
Which is the institutional term for the full schedule speeches, conferring of degrees, all of it.
And the word commencement itself implies a beginning, doesn't it?
Yes, that the end of the program is just the start of the professional journey. The atmosphere is intentionally solemn but also festive.
The descriptions are always so grand. The commencement stage was adorned with flowers and banners.
And family members traveled from afar to attend. It's a profound shared moment.
And it's future-oriented. The guest speaker usually encourages graduates to pursue lifelong learning.
Right, reinforcing that commitment to continuous intellectual engagement. And knowing the difference between a high school graduation and a university commencement, especially the term convocation, which is often used in Commonwealth systems, shows a mastery of this vocabulary.
That's a powerful overview of the campus structure.
Yeah.
But academic life is also rigorously defined by rules and consequences. So if this first section was about success, our next section has to address behavior and the reality of failure.
Right. We now shift our focus to the systems of control, the formal disciplinary mechanisms, and the oversight that ensure academic integrity and orderly conduct.
Our first term here is wonderfully archaic and formal, exeat.
It sounds it, doesn't it?
It does. It's formal permission for a student to be absent, a designated leave of absence.
The use of exeat immediately suggests a highly regulated, traditional environment, like a boarding school or a military academy, where a student's presence is very strictly monitored.
The requirement of an exeat form signals official, bureaucratic sanction.
You can't just call in sick. The examples show it's for significant planned events. A student might need one for attending a family wedding during term time or for leaving campus overnight.
And it also applies to institutionally encouraged activities, right?
Exactly. A student might need to request an exeat to participate in a national debating competition. It shows that while the institution is strict, it will formally support worthwhile external activities, as long as they're documented.
Okay, so what happens if a student fails to get an exeat or breaks another rule?
Well, the administration often turns to the demerit system. A demerit is a formal mark against a student for misconduct, a penalty point.
A black mark.
Precisely. The demerit system is a mechanism for incremental accountability. It tracks patterns of low-level negative behavior before they escalate. You know, things like a teacher issuing demerits for repeated tardiness.
And the power of the demerit lies in the cumulative effect.
That's the key. Accumulating too many demerits could lead to serious consequences, such as suspension from extracurricular activities.
So the system links minor infractions to the loss of valued privileges. It uses sports or clubs as leverage to enforce compliance.
Right. The overall goal of the school's demerit system is ultimately to promote accountability by attaching clear, escalating consequences to behavior.
Now, the most high-stakes environment in academia is testing. And when institutional validation is on the line, oversight is mandatory.
Which brings us to the verb, to invigilate.
It means to supervise candidates during an exam to prevent cheating. We might also say to proctor or to monitor.
Invigilation is the essential defense mechanism for academic integrity. Because the stakes are so high, strict protocols are followed.
And it's not a job for just anyone. We see that experienced faculty members were assigned to invigilate the high-stakes entrance tests.
That reflects the trust and responsibility placed on the invigilator. They are the impartial guarantor of fairness.
And the C2 context here relies on understanding how complex this role has become.
Oh, absolutely. In the remote learning world, invigilation is technologically intense. Staff have to invigilate online assessments using special monitoring software.
Which raises a really interesting question. The source mentions experienced faculty. Is technology making the human invigilator obsolete, or is the human element still crucial for things like subjective judgment?
That is a wonderful synthesis point. I think the human element, especially for handling unexpected interruptions or subjective behavior, probably remains indispensable.
That final judgment on whether a dropped paper was an accident or an attempt to cheat.
Exactly. That requires the professional judgment of an experienced person in the room.
Right. Now, despite all the invigilation and pressure for a good GPA, failure is a reality.
Yes. Which leads us to the powerful verb, to flunk. It means to definitively fail a course, an exam, or a requirement. Informally, to bomb or to flop.
Flunking is the direct opposite of becoming the valedictorian. It's the stark reality of struggle. The example is, despite studying hard, he unfortunately flunked the advanced mathematics module.
And the institutional consequences of flunking are severe. Students who flunk multiple courses may face academic probation.
Which is a formal institutional warning that puts their enrollment at risk.
It is. The system uses flunking as the final measure to enforce minimum standards. But the term can also highlight personal drive, as in, she was determined not to flunk her final exams. It shows that determination to overcome setbacks.
Not all rule-breaking is that serious, though. Sometimes it's just avoidance.
Or low-stakes rebellion.
Which brings us to the informal verb, to ditch. To skip class without permission. To bunk off or play truant.
To ditch is a great C2 term because it captures that tension between institutional rules and student strategy. And it's not always about laziness.
Right. The analysis points out that some students occasionally ditched boring lectures to study independently for more important exams.
It's a calculated choice, a moment of strategic academic rebellion.
Sometimes misguided, sometimes genius. But the institution has to enforce the rule. Getting caught ditching class resulted in detention for the group.
The administration has to maintain order, and the regret can outweigh the benefit. The warning is clear. He regretted ditching crucial revision sessions before the important exam.
So it's a high-risk, informal rebellion.
Very much so.
Okay, we have thoroughly covered the administrative and social world of academia. Now let's pivot away from that and move into the specialized institutions and formats dedicated to the deep pursuit of knowledge.
Yes, this section shifts our focus entirely to the specific places and intellectual formats designed for advanced learners who are truly specializing in their fields.
We'll start with a highly specialized institution. The conservatory, a college specializing entirely in the performing arts, music, drama, dance, and Academy of Arts.
The term conservatory immediately signals an environment of intense pre-professional focus. This is not general education. This is vocational mastery. The rigor is profound. Aspiring musicians audition rigorously for admission to prestigious conservatories.
So it's applied education at its most intense. The training prepared students specifically for professional careers. Graduating with a degree in classical piano from a renowned conservatory means you have the refined skill set to perform at the highest professional level.
It's specialization in its purest institutional form.
Now, moving from a specialized institution to a specialized format, we have the colloquium.
An academic seminar or conference, usually for specialists and advanced scholars. A symposium.
The key C2 distinction here is the audience and their assumed knowledge level, isn't it?
It is. Unlike a general lecture, a colloquium assumes a high degree of pre-existing shared knowledge. It's a platform for established scholars to present cutting-edge research findings.
It's a venue for sophisticated intellectual sparring and peer critique.
And for network building. Attending the International Colloquium significantly expanded her network of academic contacts, leading to collaborations. A monthly colloquium featuring guest speakers keeps the department intellectually current. It's a dialogue among equals.
And when a scholar completes years of this cutting-edge research, the highest output of their work is often published as a monograph.
The definitive scholarly study of a single, highly specialized subject. A treatise.
And it's considered the bedrock of genuine scholarly contribution. Crucially, it's not a collection of essays. It's the comprehensive, unified argument of one author on one narrow area.
Correct. Writing one requires extensive, deep research and original analysis.
And why does this term carry so much weight? In many academic systems, publishing a monograph is the minimum requirement for promotion to tenure, isn't it?
It often is. It's the gold standard that separates general publishing from genuine, field-defining scholarly contribution. The impact of a successful monograph can reshape a discipline.
Like when the professor's monograph on educational reform became a standard reference in the field.
Exactly. It literally shifted how subsequent scholars understood that subject. The term instantly conveys the highest echelon of academic output.
But the academic journey isn't all about writing dense books. It's also about practical application.
Which leads us to the practicum, a supervised practical training period, an internship or fieldwork.
The practicum is the mandatory bridge between the theoretical university world and the hands-on professional world. And the key word is supervised.
Yes, For aspiring educators, the teaching practicum gave mandatory hands-on classroom experience. They are practicing under the watchful eye of a mentor.
It often functions as a professional gatekeeper. Completing a practicum is a mandatory requirement for certification in many licensed professions.
You can't just read books to become a counselor or a social worker. A student applied theoretical knowledge to real counseling sessions during her practicum, proving she could synthesize academic concepts and apply them effectively.
It validates academic knowledge through practical competence. Finally, we turn to an essential adjective that defines so much of modern academic work: interdisciplinary.
Meaning involving two or more distinct academic disciplines. Cross-disciplinary.
This term signals forward-thinking scholarship. Complex global problems like climate change or urban poverty don't fit neatly into one department.
Exactly. Interdisciplinary research often leads to innovative solutions for complex problems because it combines methods and perspectives, unlocking new avenues for investigation.
And we're seeing this institutionalized now. Universities are launching an interdisciplinary program combining science and humanities to train students in holistic critical thinking.
And a thesis that adopted an interdisciplinary approach, drawing strength from psychology and sociology, shows an advanced ability to synthesize diverse fields for a stronger argument. This is highly valued in contemporary academia.
That provides a detailed look at specialized study. Now that we've covered the structures and formats, let's pivot to the very core, the how, the theory of teaching, and the resources we use to learn.
Right. This section focuses on the vocabulary we use to critique and evaluate instructional methodology, from formal theory to informal aids.
We'll begin with the noun didactics. This is the formal art and science of teaching and instructional methods, also known as pedagogy.
This term is foundational for anyone in educational leadership or reform. It elevates teaching from an innate skill to a measurable science. The analysis highlights its evolution. Modern didactics emphasizes student-centered and highly interactive learning approaches.
This is a deliberate theoretical shift away from older, passive, lecture-based models.
It is, and mastery of these principles is necessary now. All accredited teacher training programs include extensive courses on didactics, and its impact is measurable. Advances in didactics have transformed traditional lecture-based education.
But now we have to address the adjective form, didactic.
Yes, because it carries a much richer and often more problematic nuance.
While it means intended to teach, it can also imply excessive moralism, making something sound overly preachy.
This is a perfect example of C2 level contextual awareness. The word can be positive, neutral, or negative, depending on the context. In a neutral sense, teachers use didactic materials to clearly explain abstract concepts.
It's effective, direct instruction.
Right. But the term takes on a critical edge when the instruction becomes too overt. For example, the novel's didactic tone aimed to convey important ethical lessons.
A sophisticated critic might see that as heavy-handed or manipulative.
That's the subtlety. We find that while didactic methods can be highly effective, an overly didactic tone can sometimes reduce student engagement. The focus on instruction can overshadow narrative quality and become counterproductive.
It's all about sensitivity to the context.
Okay.
Shifting from formal theory to the informal reality of studying, we have the term crib.
An informal term for a translation or summary aid, a cheat sheet.
And this term is highly contextual, isn't it? It rests in the fine line between an acceptable study aid and academic dishonesty.
It does. In an ethical context, creating a personal crib can be a great study tool. The analysis suggests creating a personal crib improved her retention of key philosophical concepts because condensing ideas forces active learning.
But the nuance is all in the application. The term always carries the implication of cheating when it's used improperly.
Right. The professor might say he allowed open book exams but heavily discouraged reliance on cribs. The goal is to test genuine understanding, not the ability to copy summaries.
And it has historical relevance too, right? For decoding complex classical literature.
Exactly. A pragmatic, if often risky aid that reflects a student's need to overcome an immediate linguistic hurdle.
We have journeyed through the structure, the rules, and the methodology of teaching. Let's conclude this deep dive by focusing on two essential terms that define entry into the academic world and the financial means to stay there.
These final two terms define the legal and ceremonial entry point and the critical financial support mechanisms that make it all possible.
Our penultimate term is matriculation, the formal process of enrolling and being officially accepted at a university, enrollment or registration.
But note the difference between being accepted and actually matriculating. Matriculation is the final official step that transforms a candidate into a recognized member of the academic community.
The C2 value rests on that formality. Matriculation ceremonies mark the official welcome and legal induction of new students. It's a profound transition.
And it has preconditions. After successfully passing the demanding entrance exam, he completed matriculation. It's contingent on academic readiness.
And while the ceremony is traditional, the process is evolving. A university might streamline its matriculation process with efficient online registration.
Blending tradition with administrative efficiency.
Finally, we discuss the essential financial support structure known as a bursary.
A financial award or grant to support a student's education, usually awarded based on financial need.
This term requires C2 precision because you have to distinguish it from a scholarship. What's the real difference?
That distinction is vital. A scholarship is typically awarded based on merit high grades, athletic talent. A bursary is generally awarded based on need or specific criteria related to background or location.
So the bursary serves a critical social purpose by addressing financial need directly.
Yes, the analysis shows the bursary covered tuition fees for low-income students, acting as a vital tool for promoting equitable access.
And it's also a strategic tool for institutions. They use bursaries to attract talented students from underrepresented backgrounds, enhancing diversity.
And they're not just for undergrads. A bursary can be used to fund her postgraduate research abroad, facilitating high-level scholarly work. Understanding the term is essential for anyone navigating the funding landscape of advanced education.
So we have successfully completed our deep dive, covering over 20 essential terms, moving you from the casual graduate to the precise alumna, and from signing up to the formal ritual of matriculation.
And by consistently applying this lexicon, you will immediately gain greater precision and undeniable confidence in any academic or professional setting. But remember, you must actively practice using these words. That is the only way to move them from passive recognition into your active automatic lexicon.
That dedication to practice is crucial. And as we navigated concepts like didactics, the science of teaching, and the modern imperative of the interdisciplinary approach, it all leads to a final provocative thought for you to mull over. If the ultimate goal of higher education is increasingly focused on generating innovative solutions for complex problems that require combining diverse fields and collaborative risk-taking, does the rigid structure of demerits and the fiercely competitive drive to achieve valedictorian status sometimes conflict with the very spirit of open, messy, and collaborative interdisciplinary discovery?
That is a wonderful tension to consider. Does the institutional emphasis on perfect individual performance and adherence to formal rules sometimes stifle the necessary curiosity and freedom required for true field-shifting innovation?
Something to reflect on as you begin to apply these new terms.
You did.
If you found this deep dive valuable, remember to like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us.